What's up, everybody? This is Jose from Southern Life. No Katie today, it's just me. I'm in Bradenton right now. Just ate at Mean Dean's over here by Bayshore Gardens, and we're just gonna drive through Bradenton at night. It's a Friday night, and we're just gonna drive to the city. It's been a while since I do a Bradenton video. I always show you guys like the horrors of Bradenton. I think on today's video I might just show like a normal part of Bradenton. I'm not sure how I want to go with this video. I'm just going to do a regular drive around video practically. Of course, not everything is horrible in Bradenton. By the way, Mean Dean's, kind of a neat restaurant. They have a very unique menu. It's kind of a great place maybe for, ooh, the car's coming. Maybe for like a dinner date or something. It seems real nice. It's not like extraordinarily fancy, but it's kind of like a Irish pub vibe to it. I kind of liked it. It's very I don't know what the right word would be. Just kind of tranquil and kind of I don't know. It was a good vibe. Chill, relaxed. They have gator on the menu as an appetizer. You can get gator wings. Now I've had gator nuggets, but they have gator wings, a little bit different. Basically, you've had blue cheese with wings. It's kind of like that, but with gator instead of chicken. If you've never had gator in Florida, I recommend it. Now, theirs is pretty good. A little spicy for me, but I'm not good on spice. But I did order it, and I try to avoid the spicy food, but I did it. Now, 8:30 at night on a Friday night. Usually, I'd be heading to downtown Sarasota Uber drive, but it's practically dead today. There's nothing going on. So I think I'm going to head back to Lakewood Ranch and sleep a little bit and rest. And then later on in the evening, when it really heats up, I'll head out around 10, 11, 12. They also have short rib. It's a little pricier than most of the restaurants here in Bradenton. Bradenton's kind of it's not the richest city on earth, so the menus aren't that expensive. But every once in a while, you can have something a little bit nicer. And it was pretty nice. I had a Cuban sandwich with rice and beans. I like Cuban sandwiches in Miami, but being this ain't bad. If you've never tried gator nuggets, I definitely recommend it. I saw they had short ribs on the menu. I'm definitely gonna come back to this restaurant with Katie. Maybe for a nice night and get some short ribs. Kind of a little pricey for one person, but these days everything's pricey. There's a lot of street food out here that'd be cheaper, or Salem's or something, but I just wanted to get something a bit nicer. Now we are on US 41. If I went to the right, we'd be in Sarasota in 15 to 20 minutes. But I don't think downtown's popping off yet. It's only 8:30 at night. We'll see if later on in the evening the Uber driving gets better. Usually gets good around 10 p.m. The nightlife people. It's too early right now. Town's kind of empty, emptier than usual. Oh, I could have kept going here. I'm on the turning lane. But it made sense to keep going. Just a normal evening in Bradenton. My first passenger today on Uber recognized me from our YouTube channel. That was pretty cool. And the second passenger was really nice. So they both tipped me, I believe. So that was nice. Made $15 driving between Lakewood Ranch and here. And honestly, I was already heading this way, so it kind of made sense to grab those two rides. I was already heading this way, so it wasn't like I had to go out of my way to get those two rides. I turned on my app for about 5 minutes. The chances of catching a ride back to Lakewood Ranch is practically impossible. But, kind of a relaxing evening. Nobody in town today. It looks dead. I mean, it looks emptier than I've seen it in a while. It's definitely that time of year where all the tourists are gone and you're stuck with the locals. The locals can kind of be unpredictable. It's hard to what is going on here. See, that's the thing about Bradenton. Like that's the thing about Bradenton, really. you're still in Bradenton. I was hoping. Okay. I'm not trying to make Bradenton look bad. Bradenton just makes itself look bad. It's like I was really hoping we could just get a nice cruise through Bradenton and not have to see debauchery, but hey, it wasn't my intention, okay? It's just like one of those things where, like, I can only do so much for you, Bradenton. I love the people here. It's an interesting place, man. But I feel like with my YouTube channel, I wanted to move to a larger city, but the largest cities in Florida is just way too crime-ridden right now, violent. I mean, I've been here in Bradenton, and it's a dangerous city in a lot of ways, but nobody's bothered me at all, you know? People here really mind their own business. I love it, you know? People here in Bradenton do not bother other people. Like, it has some bad neighborhoods. It's got some sketchy situations. Things happen here. Like Uber driving here in Bradenton. I've Uber driving in Miami, Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando. Bradenton has some spots. You go Uber driving at night, and you're gonna get into trouble. But then that's like you're in close contact with people, so it's different. I mean, like, in the time I've been here, like, I've been YouTubing and everything, and so I've been cool, man. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous city, but like nobody bothers you. Like Jacksonville is dangerous, but then people do bother you. You get what I'm saying? It's like a whole different scenario with Bradenton, where like it's dangerous and people bother you. Where here it's like it's pretty chill, man. We looked at Orlando to move. Too much of crime, way too much crime. I don't want to live in a giant crime-ridden city. Like maybe a few years ago, Miami and Orlando were on the come up, but I think Florida's in a real decline, and the large cities in Florida are looking bad. I mean, homelessness is out of control. I know the overdose rates are supposed to be coming down for the state, but I think they're going up for the large cities, because what's happened in Florida is that they've ran all the homeless people out of the middle-sized cities. So take note to this. As a whole, overdose rates in Florida are dropping, okay? But they're increasing in the city cores because small places like Bradenton, Melbourne, Cocoa, all these Hernando County, all these small places that have a huge homeless problem have been persecuting the homeless, and then they're forcing the homeless into large cities like Miami and Orlando, and Tampa. So now, like, those cities. Sorry about the mount situation. I'm struggling with it right now. I did order a new one. They don't last that long. But like, they've been forcing the homeless out of Bradenton, Melbourne, like all these middle sites, Fort Myers. So like the homeless are now forced into larger cities. They're trying to congregate the homeless in large cities, so the overdose rates in Florida as a whole are dropping, but they're increasing in larger urban cores. It's getting to be something in the larger cities in Florida, and I feel like it's almost by design in a way. We'll drive around Pigtown real quick, mobile home park that's infamous here. But that's what's happening in Florida. The homeless problem is getting worse in a lot of larger cities like Miami and Orlando. It's not just the homeless problem. It's like the demographics of Florida are a little bit younger now. A lot of the older people left. Younger people moved in. All these like apartments that they're putting in. Student visas are a huge thing now in Florida, where there's probably more kids on student visas than there are undocumented people working. So now you got this huge influx of young people to Florida. They're not making a lot of money. Some of them are working 2 and 3 jobs, and they're still not making ends meet. I mean, in Orlando, I literally met people that were homeless while working. So this mobile home park can be really dangerous. Gunshots are normal on the weekends here, so we'll drive through. We'll be real careful not to, draw attention. But there's great people that live in these parks, man, and they have to deal with an onslaught of criminal activity. Lots of dealing back here, and gotta be real careful. It's actually pretty dangerous to come back here. If they see the camera and they're doing something they're not supposed to, it could be a problem. It's not recommended. This neighborhood's had too many problems. Shootings. Just a wild area. Homeless people squatting was the recent thing. A lot of the things that are happening in Florida are backfiring, like laws and regulations that are coming into the state. One of those laws that backfired was that homeless law got homeless people out of residential neighborhoods, but it also got them to squat in the empty houses. So like the homeless are now squatting a lot of empty mobile homes that are in here. Like if you own a property back here, somebody dies or something, next thing you know, you got 10 to 12 homeless people squatting on a property. There's actually a big case. I don't know what's going on back here. There's a big case out of... I don't know what's going on here. There's a big case out of Polk County where, like, a guy got deployed or something. Hell, pool in the front yard. That's pretty cool. That's trailer park living right there, buddy. If you got a freaking pool in your front yard, that's what's up. La vida de Pigtown, baby. In Polk County, there was like an infamous case where like the guy, like he got deployed or something, right? So he's not there anymore. He was gonna be gone for a few months, and like a whole compound of homeless people moved into his house while he was deployed. Stole everything. I mean, it was just a nightmare. It was one of those deals where they went in and somebody running over here, kids. So gotta get careful. The guy got deployed. They moved in, destroyed the whole place, stole his stuff, scrapped his cars and trailers. I mean, it was a huge news story in Polk County. Guy gets deployed, homeless come in and destroy the place. It's really sad what's happening. There's homeless people here on the right here. You can see somebody. I mean, they get ran out, but eventually they come back. Like, the thing about arresting homeless people is like, what's the point of arresting homeless people? Eventually they come back. Like, they ain't kill nobody. You gotta let them free. When they let them free, they're gonna go right back to the neighborhood they're from. It's like one of these things where, like, yeah, there's less homeless people visible, but for how long? Temporary. It isn't permanent. They'll come back. They have to. They didn't kill nobody. They gotta let them go. So, Bradenton streets at night, it's crazy out here. Most of the people you see out and about right now are gonna be homeless or vagrants. Like, you can see somebody here. You can tell by his walk. It's not a normal walk. It's kind of like a. I don't know if he's homeless or not. He's got a book bag. All these people you see walking around here are homeless for the most part. This guy's got a book bag, so he's homeless. This guy right here has a book bag. He's homeless. This McDonald's is a good panhandling site for a lot of people. Let's just see somebody panhandling here. I had a passenger earlier. She lives in an apartment complex in Bayshore Gardens, and she was telling me that there's homeless people in her apartments, like, on all the time. And just like, if it's one or two, the cops won't do anything. She's like, there's got to be like 4 or 5 of them before the cops finally decide to come out. So this McDonald's is really, really bad for panhandling. Let me just show you guys how bad things have gotten this McDonald's, that the sheriff's office has had to put up. Now, this is like a camera they put up. You'll see these in Florida. I don't think this exists anywhere else in America. But this is a trailer from the sheriff's office. It's a solar paneled mobile camera station. When they put these up, in high crime rate areas. So here they've put up this, it's got a stand and it's got like 7 or 8 cameras on top. And the reason that's there is because this McDonald's is a huge panhandling site, and there's probably other activity going on as well, wouldn't doubt. So they put up this trailer there to keep homeless people from committing crimes. And there's also a lot of garbage cans back here, so I'm gonna guess a lot of people come back here to dumpster dive from these businesses too. So it's a huge vagrancy spot, and well, the sheriff's office has had to put up that little trailer there with cameras so that if a crime were to happen, or if they wanted to trespass somebody for loitering, they could, because they got the camera there to prove it. So walk through these alleyways here a little bit, get out and smell the fresh air. Just go through these businesses here and see what we can find. But you know, homelessness in Bradenton is a huge problem. I guess you guys saw I tried to interview. My goal was to interview 188 homeless people in Bradenton, because that's what the number, the official number was of homelessness. But the state of Florida Health Department saw what I was doing, and then they changed it to 700. You know, the state of Florida says that their homeless population is only 30,000 people. Oh, my stomach, what is that? Ooh, that's weird. Sorry, guys. I think there's somebody dumpster diving here. The state of Florida says that their homeless population is only 30,000 people. And that's on a county by county level. So what's interesting is that number is comprised of, 67 counties. In Manatee County, where I live, they said that the total number was supposed to be, what was their total number? 188. And I was like, dude, I will interview 188 homeless people. So here's the problem with Bradenton. Like, this should just give you an idea. Obviously, the garbage cans are overflowing, but on top of that, you can tell people have been panhandling. Not panhandling, dumpster diving, I'm sorry. You can tell people were dumpster diving here because there's more garbage on the outside than on the inside. So this is kind of a problem for these businesses, that all these people are dumpster diving for food and for entertainment, I guess, and scrap metal, whatever they can find. It creates a real problem for these businesses. Like, literally every last one of these garbage cans gets turned upside down. People are looking for food, looking for whatever they can find in the garbage. So Manatee County says that their homeless population is 188 on the official number for Florida Health. There's actually a police car stationed over here. You can see a police car over here. So what I do is I decide, okay, if that's the official number, let's try to document more than the official number on the streets to prove that the number's wrong. When I started getting close, they actually ended up cop right there, and he's positioned here for a reason. He's trying to prevent the flow of homeless people to the back of these businesses. So it's been a problem back here, you can tell. And they control it here. They just move a few miles down the road, and then they got to go control it wherever they move to next. It's a never-ending cycle. You couldn't pay me enough to be a cop in this city. These officers have to deal with so much. It's unbearable. And it's dangerous and violent at night, too. So it's like, the cops here are dealing with a real dangerous situation at night. Oh, God damn it. Okay. So that cop being there is a deterrent for the homeless people from going back in that little area. So like I said, they fix the problem in one area, they move to the next. It's a never-ending issue here. And the police officers, they don't get paid enough to deal. You should see the things these cops got to deal with here in Bradenton. It's you see a scenario tour here. Anyways, the state of Florida, when they saw that I was trying to document more than the official number, because the state of Florida's, claim to fame is that we only got 30,000 homeless people in the whole state. Break it down by 67 counties. Manatee County's total was 188. So I made it my goal to document more than that many homeless people. You can see somebody here sleeping on a sidewalk. I know a lot of the homeless people are here. I'm just doing a drive-through today, so I don't know if I know this person or not. Yeah, I know her. I've seen her before. I think I know who that is. I think I know who it is. I'm not 100% sure. It could be an employee too, but laying down on the ground for a business, probably homeless. Homeless people also come here to the laundromat. It's open 24 hours. Well, I guess what I'm just showing you in today's video is that it isn't like one homeless person here or there. It's like the whole entire... This person's probably gonna have a book bag. Oh, I know who that is. That's Blue, man. He didn't notice me. That's Blue right there. He's homeless. We've interviewed him. Just weigh the crap over here. This isn't his usual area. He's usually a little bit further down where we started earlier. But any freaking way, y'all. Once I made my goal to document the real number of homeless people in Manatee County, which is definitely easy to prove that it was wrong, then they changed the Manatee number to 760, which would be definitely much more difficult to that's a more complicated number, a more realistic number. But anyways, I was working to document the real number of homelessness in Bradenton to prove to you guys that the official state number of 188 was not conclusive. And it wasn't. I mean, anybody who lives in Manatee County knows that's laughable. But it just goes to show that if in Manatee County they say that the number was 188, I start trying to disprove that by documenting the real number, and then they change it to 700. So the 600 that they added to Manatee County to fix the analytics for this county, because I was trying to expose the real situation. Here I'm trying to expose the real situation, the real number of homelessness. They subtract that number from other counties. So I go to those counties and try to, it's harder, but the point being is that the state of Florida has been trying to lie and cover up and manipulate the material facts of the real homeless number. And it's resulted in a situation where people think that Florida doesn't have a homeless problem compared to California. But if you calculate what the real number of homelessness is in Florida, and that the state of California's population is almost double Florida's, you'll find out that the homeless rate per capita between Florida and California is actually pretty dang close. And you know what? It's not a surprise, because the homicide rate in Florida and California are pretty close. Florida has always, like the last 20 years in a row, Florida's had a higher homicide rate than California. Not by much, but every single year, Florida's homicide rate is always higher than California's, and they correlate. Okay? So Florida's on one side of the country, California's on the other side of the country. You would think that these numbers wouldn't, they're just two completely different states, but no. The composition demographically of California and Florida is very similar. They both have a large Spanish population. They're both expensive states everybody wants to move to for the weather. There's a lot of things in common between Florida and California, and their analytics do correlate. Homicide analytics correlate. Got a little hangout spot right here. Oh, look, they're gambling. Okay. Well, that's classy. Oh, crap. Wow, what a freaking hole that was. Okay. You can gamble in Bradenton. That's good to know. If I ever want to roll some dice and gamble. Not that I would do that, but I guess it's good to know it exists. Gambling is a good way for somebody to get shot, by the way, because people just can't stand losing money. And part of gambling is losing. So it's a little It's a little problematic of a thing to do there. A thing where, interesting. I think tonight's going to be a really bad night for crime. You can just drive around and tell if it's going to be a good night or bad. And tonight, I will be driving to Sarasota, but I'm going to stay the crap out of Bradenton. You can just tell, like, the vibe ain't right tonight. He's trying to convince people that they don't have the same homeless problem that Bradenton does, but opinions aside, it's actually about the same. I mean, the homicide rates are the same. California's got better incomes. California's got better social services. Anyways, it's not really noteworthy. It's not newsworthy. It's not headline-setting things because it doesn't match a political narrative. And that's kind of the thing about things today, is information has to match a political narrative. So when a piece of information doesn't match a narrative, it doesn't matter. And sometimes analytics that are important get overlooked by more trivial crap that is definitely not important. And that's a weird thing about analytics. It's like sometimes analytically, here's a piece of information that's actually really vital, really important, and because it doesn't match a political narrative, you can distill the information, but it isn't going to be trend setting. And where we're at right now with information is a pretty crappy spot, because like as a YouTube creator, my viewerships are down considerably because I got tired of trying to conform to these narratives of what social media wants. Like right now, immigration's a huge issue, but it falls under the lines of politics. I did some immigration videos, not from a political perspective, just from an informative perspective, and I realized that it's not worth it. And I'm being punished right now by the algorithm. I could go and start talking about immigration, grants on immigration and stuff, and it would blow up my channel. I'd be making $10,000 a month. But sometimes, when you do things because of your moral convictions, you end up being punished by the algorithm. I know that right now, here's 10 videos I can make right now that would all get 30,000 views at least. Ready for them? Here's 10 videos. I can make them right now, and every single last one of these videos would be a hit. But how would I feel after making these videos? Here's one. Florida arrests U.S. citizen. The guy up in Tallahassee. U.S. citizen arrested for a deportation order in Tallahassee. Breaking news. That would get 30,000 views. Florida's governor accused of stealing $10 million. Florida hope scam. Boom. 10,000 views, 20,000, 30,000 views, 50,000 views. All those videos, which is, I could just off the top of my head tell you 10 things I can make right now. Oh, the thing with the truck drivers right now. I know a lot about that situation with the truck drivers. All good clickbait videos, but the problem is that it's not real news. It isn't what's actually happening right now. They're stories that match political narratives. And I tried covering some of those stories from a non-politically affiliated perspective, from a informative perspective. When people get information that they can't label, it becomes a problem for them, because people today want to label everything. It's either this or it's that. There's this nightclub over here that's been kind of crazy lately at night. You'll see what's right back there. So unfortunately, every single day when you turn on your phone, there's a new news story. U.S. citizen deported. Here, here's Jose. You Southern Life. This is Jose from Southern Life. A U.S. citizen was deported back to the country he never went to. He'd never been there before. He's a U.S. citizen. 100,000 views. I'm tired of covering stories that match political narratives. Sometimes it's newsworthy, sometimes it's not. The issue is that the stories that get selected to be newsworthy are selected because they match a political narrative. And I'm not going to keep covering those stories. Because at the end of the day, whatever take you take on the story, even if it's just a reportive angle, in other words, non-politically affiliated angle, you're just covering a news story, it's still the political narratives that shows that story. One good example would be recently here, there was a story that went national news about an undocumented person in Charlotte County, Florida, hurt somebody 12 to 16 years old. Horrendous story. I made a video about it. And you know what I did? And it was getting views. You know what I did? I deleted it. And you know what? Why am I covering this garbage? I deleted the video. I decided, you know what? It's not worth covering this garbage. I deleted the video. And I'm glad I did. But the issue is, with that story was, because it was an undocumented person who hurt a child, the Charlotte County Sheriff made this whole long, prolonged news press about these dangerous illegal... Bro, a guy did the same exact crime in Bradenton, April 17th. Now, this story was on the 26th. So on the 17th, a guy in Bradenton, American, committed the same exact crime. He was out on the 18th, the next day, with a $500 bail, which is to MOL a victim under 12 to 14 or something. 12 to 16 was the law stipulates. It's a horrendous crime. A guy just did it. A guy just did it in Bradenton. April 17th, got out on the 18th on a $500 bail. It's not a big deal, though. They don't care about it. It happens all the time. It just happened in Naples. In Naples, they just arrested somebody. This is kind of like the Haitian hangout spot here. In Naples, they just arrested somebody. And the guy that they arrested in Naples was a dating situation where he hurt somebody in a dating situation. Already had an extensive criminal record. It got some news notoriety, but it didn't get that much news notoriety. Dude, these things happen like in every Southwest Florida county on a weekly basis. Are they newsworthy? No. If you were to try to pull a body cam footage, you know, a freedom of information request for that type of thing, you'd get a letter the next day saying, "Why is your kid in a parking lot at night, young lady?" Ay, Dios mío. How can you see that this is not a place to have a kid this late at night? Why are you doing that? Anyway, stories and the narratives that they have to match with, you know, reporting. It happens all the time in Southwest Florida. Because the guy was undocumented, the sheriff tried to make this huge news story. It actually got trending nationally. But that's not a news story. That happens all the time. One county over, 7 days before it happened. Same exact charge. U.S. citizen. The 2 counties over, I'm sorry. All right, Manatee County, where we're in right now. It happened April 17th. Guy got a $500 bail. It's not newsworthy, though they're not. But they and you know, if you were trying to get Freedom of Information Act, you can't get information on minors, they wouldn't give it to you. So now he releases this horrendous story. All of these cases are horrendous. If you talk to people that work in law enforcement, if you got friends in law enforcement, or if you know people that work in, like, let's say, I don't know, a medical examiner's office, or any occupation of that sort, they'll tell you that these are horrendous cases. Vivid details that you probably don't want to know. This guy releases, the sheriff of Charlotte County releases this information to make political headlines, to make a narrative story out of the situation, Bro, these things happen all the time. All the time. U.S. citizens, every once in a while, an undocumented person. The details are usually grim. You usually don't hear about it because it's against the law to release information about minor victims. They release it so that they can get their narrative out. So I'm tired of... I like reporting news. I love reporting news stories. But I can't deal with the fact that even the way they arrest people these days, like, I don't know if you guys know this, you know, when you see a demographical change in arrest because of politics, that's terrifying. It means that now, like, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but like with the last administration that was here, their community, the white rural community, was being ravaged by overdoses. It wasn't a priority for that administration to stop a problem that's affecting another community. And now that this administration has power, you're seeing the overdoses drop, and now problems affecting inner city Hispanics and blacks are on the rise. So when you start to see a change administration, right, and both are equally guilty of this, not taking sides. Both administrations have done the same thing. In the case of the previous administration, overdoses were insanely out of control in rural communities. Now, the arrests and the problems we're facing in the inner city. So, when you see a change of political party, and you notice that for one party, the arrests changed completely, now, law enforcement in the United States is arresting people who don't match their political ideology. And it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling that a change of administration completely changes the demographics of who's being arrested. Because it just goes to show that politicians now are arresting people who don't match their political narrative. It's done subtly, but it's obvious. You know, when you see a change of administration and all the demographics for people getting arrested change, it goes to show that, like, you have law and order. You have things that are illegal and things that are illegal. What gets pursued by the law depends on who is in power and what they want to go after. In case of one administration, they may want to go after gun violence. They go after certain particular people. Another administration may want to go under immigration. They make that the priority. The point being that you live in a country where basically the administration that's in charge dictates who's a criminal. Now you live in a country where arrest, crime is more or less persecuted or allowed to take place based on political narratives. That doesn't make a safer community. In the past, lawmakers arrested criminals. What's the newest crime wave? Well, the newest crime wave might be white suburban people overdosing. So we're going to focus on those people and reduce that problem. Oh, we can't go after them because they're white. We have to go out. There was a time when they went after inner city blacks. Now they're going after immigrants. A while back, it's not with the white community. Sometimes it's not who you go after, but it's also what you overlook. You know, when, for example, consumption was among the blacks and Hispanics, they went after it. When consumption became prevalent amongst the white people, they legalized it. And it's just mind-boggling how the United States continues this path of, you know, and if you're law-abiding, you can dodge a lot of these problems, okay? if you're law-abiding, it doesn't really affect you as much. But it does disturb a lot of people that are law-abiding that, law and order in the United States is dictated by politics. And that's why the United States, despite being a very prosperous, easy opportunity country with a great platform economically, is so dangerous. You don't see prosperous countries be dangerous, with the exception of the United States and maybe Mexico. And Mexico's violence comes from the United States. Brazil is now a country it's not quite an advanced country. It's got a long way to go, but it's got a lot of crime problems as well. Brazil can't compare to the United States regardless. But you compare the United States to European countries that are very well off economically, and they don't have these. Matter of fact, don't go that far. Canada, our neighbor to the north. Canada's homicide rate is a fraction of ours. Toronto's homicide rate is like 2 or 3 per 100,000. Across the border, a few hours away, is Detroit, and I think it's now down to 35 per 100,000, but it's been 64 for years and years. Interestingly, people in Detroit think it's on a come up now. No, Detroit, if your homicide rate is 3 to 4 times the national average, you still have a very long time to go. But for them, people in Detroit are proud that their homicide rate's down to 36 per 100,000. Isn't that pathetic? People in Detroit really think that Detroit's on the come up because their homicide rate decreased to 36 per 100,000, which is still 3 times higher than Miami. Sad. And that's if you meet somebody from Detroit right now, if you find somebody from Detroit and you ask them, what's going on with crime in Detroit? Oh, we're doing great, man. Yeah, our homicide rates are down to 36 per 100,000. We're the next big thing. I'm like, no, you're still 3 times higher than Miami. And you've only been doing that for a couple years. It doesn't mean it's not a permanent trend. It's just for 1 or 2 years, but it's hysterical. Like, when you compare the crime analytics, and I mean real crime, I'm talking homicide rates and stuff like that. Homicide rates of Canadian cities to American cities, it puts us to shame. And it isn't a surprise that most Americans moving to Canada are doing it for safety. They're tired of the homicides and all the problems we have here in the United States, so that they think, move to Canada and it'll be safer. A country that has way worse weather, horrendous weather, but when it comes to safety, people are willing to do whatever it takes to be safe, including living in a frozen tundra. But it's been a little disappointing lately. The types of stories that are news trending, and I'm going to stop buying into it. I'm going to go back to my old formula of evergreen content, which it's going to take me a few months to build it back up. You don't just change your channel's content all of a sudden and you get reactions. And I rode that wave for a little bit with, covering news stories. The issue is that it's political narratives that are deciding what the stories are. And if you just start picking up random news stories that are interesting, that don't match political narratives, people don't want to hear it. Because people in the United States become so polarizing that they'll only click on something if and only when it matches their personal political narrative. And that is a tough cookie for a creator like myself, who doesn't give a crap for what the narrative is. But unfortunately, we're being punished right now by the algorithm because we're deciding not to go with the flow. We're stopping the flow. And we're being punished for it, without a doubt. Without a doubt, we're being punished for it. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We're almost to Lakewood Ranch, and there are still homeless people out here. There's homeless camps, so you can see there's people on bicycles and stuff. A lot of them are homeless too, so even Lakewood Ranch.